Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Afternoon Tea. And today we're going to talk about student loans with Chris Haun.
Thank you very much. Student loans, it's a big topic these days for the lending world. It's changed a lot over the last couple of years, but continues to be a sore point in terms of getting people qualified. Student loans are usually a pretty large debt, and as a result of that, they affect the borrower's qualifying because it has a bigger payment. But student loans are in different formats. Some are in deferment, meaning students still taking some classes, so the student loan is being deferred. So they'll be looked at in certain ways with certain loan programs, or they're in repayment, and then we're going to look at it differently. So there's like 4 different categories of loan types that are affected differently with student loans, so it gets complicated a little bit. I'll try and keep it simple. The easiest and best scenario probably for a student qualifying would be one, to have an income-based repayment plan. That means they've gone back to the student loan company now that they're having to repay it, and they have this payment calculated as a result of what their finances are. Usually it's a lower payment than the actual payment. So with certain conventional loans, we can use that payment, which would be a good way to go. Other loans, like let's say government loans, like an FHA loan, Federal Housing Administration, it's a government insured loan. They require us to hit the client with 1% of the balance. So imagine a $100,000 student loan, 1% of the balance, we're hitting them with a $1,000 payment. What if it's $300,000? That's a $3,000 payment. They probably don't qualify any longer.
And is that a $3,000 payment per month? That's how it's
Yes.
Wow.
So it's a huge hit. So
It's huge.
FHA loans probably have the biggest hit, that 1% of the balance. But there is a circumstance where you could use a lesser payment on an FHA loan if you can get the original paperwork showing that the full amortizing payment will pay that loan off in 30 years. And if that's less than the 1%, we can use it. Other loans, like a VA loan, another government insured loan, only for veterans. Theirs, if it's in deferment, this is the only loan that allows for something in deferment. If it's in deferment for more than 12 months, we don't count it at all. But if it's less than 12 months away from starting a payment, or they're in repayment mode already, we're going to either take the greater of what the payment on the credit report is, or a 0.5% of that total balance. So better than $1,000 on a $100,000 loan to be $500, but it's still a big payment. But we're forced to hit them with that. And then finally, if you were doing another type of conventional mortgage, a Freddie Mac type loan, they do hit you with a 0.5% calculation. So usually that's going to be pretty detrimental as well. So the best one would be an income-based repayment plan that we can do a straight conventional loan on, and hopefully just be able to use that payment.
If I'm in the process of refinancing my student loan, would it be better for me to just complete that out and then apply for the
I always
mortgage
think
then?
it's better if you're doing any sort of consolidation or changing of debts that you currently have, to do that ahead of getting into the mortgage. It'll just make a smoother process and make it a lot faster.
And if I'm a little impatient and I just want to do both at the same time?
You can. We just would then have to make sure that you get us the paperwork immediately upon receipt of what this new terms are going to look like.
Okay.
We would then have to get that paperwork to our credit reporting agency that we work with, and they'll have to then update it at that bureau level, maybe contact the new creditor so they can get it on the credit report quickly so we can use it. But if you can do it ahead of time, certainly will save a lot of pain and stress and be a smoother transaction.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Chris.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Afternoon Tea, and I hope to see you at the next episode. Click on the subscribe button below, and we'll see you next time.